I mean, I think, one, definitely persistence is key. That's something that's always going to get you to the place you want to be, every day working on it. I think the other thing is like, I've worked so much on set. So when I come to the table and I talk about what I want to do, I have the experience to know what I'm talking about. And I think that like helped me a lot. I've production assisted on tons of sets. I've done all different types of positions in every different department. I've acted in things, I've tried to get to know as many different areas of the filmmaking business so that when I'm talking to anyone, I have some understanding of what I'm actually talking about. I've been an assistant, I've been a producer, director, writer, like grip, key grip, like all these different roles. And um, actually, I don't think I've been a key grip, but I have been a grip. Um, but all those different roles really diversify your resume, but also your understanding of the filmmaking process, which becomes so important in trying to get your things made.
So you're now at a point where you can kind of point to some successes and you have a sense for just how the full production works. As you've pointed to, you've kind of done all of the roles and have an appreciation at least. Even on Voodoo, being a part of our background, being a part of our setting the scene, kind of filling in and out of all the roles.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel like it grows a sense of empathy when you're in position of directing or even producing another production? Because there are a lot of personalities involved in bringing any project together, but then you also have, I think, sometimes a bevy of people who are accustomed to being managed and dealt with in a certain way because they're not number one on the call sheet and they do not have the production power or the producer title, right?
Yeah. I think the two most important traits on any set are respect and honesty. I think if you don't have those two, then you're on a slippery slope downhill because how can people trust one another when you're talking to each other? I think, yeah, I don't know, you gotta respect every department. Everyone brings a different creative art to the table, and the more you allow for each individual's art to be expressed, the greater the power of the piece that you're gonna get at the end is. Um, it's even to the fact of like, if I can see that the art team is looking really tired and they're not getting enough sleep, I'll make sure we get them an Airbnb that's nearby so they can sleep. And then they know that they're being provided for. Because if people know that you have their backs at all times, they're going to push harder to get the best project made. And they know, and then on the flip side of that, they know that I'm not going to stop until I have the best project made on my own end. Like I'm not going to ask them for their best work if I'm not going to give my best work in return. And I think that you establish that trust and honesty with one another, it becomes a very like symbiotic working relationship rather than like a dictator and a person following the dictator. I don't know what that word is, but you know what I mean? Like I don't lead like that. I don't lead by just sitting on my throne and I say, "Please do this," and I walk away. I say, "Let's do this. How can I help? What can I unload in the truck with you? Do we need more background? Great. I'll sit there. Where do I need to sit? How can I help you? Like you're hungry? Okay, where can I order you food? Like how can I make you feel comfortable, safe, and at home for you to express the best version of your art?"
And I think I can attest to that in some ways. The voodoo experience was definitely outstanding for me, just because I think maybe because people were closer to the peers, and so it was a mix of personal and professional relationships. But we were able to, I think, get a lot done
Yeah.
in a time that we were able to, and as you working with a student budget is definitely a push. So post production is this whole separate animal, right?
Yes.
Writing and shooting, I think, are the often popularized part of
Yeah.
a film. But you are also a post production producer on this, and what were the nuts and bolts of getting that process through, and how long did it take?
Oh, I mean, we're still doing some things just to, finalize and change some last minute things. Post-producing is really hard. It is not something that I've been very well versed in before doing this. So, that's the example of you finish a project until it's at its ending point and you learn what you need to learn. And that is what I'm learning right now, bringing a full feature to delivery to the theater is a lot of challenges. I mean, honestly, the things I've learned the most in this post process is like just technical terms, like learning what different exports are needed, um, learning like the word EDL, edit decision list, and that export and what that is. Um, I mean, there's just so many like small details in post production that, if you don't know, it's just kind of like speaking a foreign language. You're just like, I don't have any idea what that acronym means. Can somebody please explain? And I was never afraid to ask. Throughout the entire post process, I've always been like, hey, thanks so much. I can totally send you this over. Can you first explain to me what it is that you need? Because I don't understand the sentence that you wrote in that prior email, and I don't want to send you something random.
It's like you sent me jargon. I'm
Yeah,
not specialized yet in this field.
yes,
Please
I don't
translate to lay terms. English. English that I understand.
like, what do you need? Do you need movie? I will provide. Like see my
It's
robot voice
humbling.
answer this. It's so humbling. I've been on Zoom calls before where they're asking for all these different things. I'm like this. Uh-huh. And they're like, no, that was a question. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a question. I don't know the answer because I don't even understand the question. I think it's important for all young filmmakers to know that it's okay not to know the answer right away. And, even if you've worked for many years in the industry, it's okay still not to know the answer. If you need to ask a question, ask it. You're better off asking and learning the correct answer than trying to figure out on your own and then end up doing something wrong and then having to redo it and reset the whole timetable. I've definitely done that throughout this process where I've been like, no, no, I got this. And then I go through like a month of work and then I send it over and they say, this isn't what I need at all. Thank you so much. And I go, great, I just wasted a month. That's nice. That is a good learning experience too. But, after a certain point, it's better just to ask the question, learn it quickly, and then keep going. Um, I mean, that's also like the idea of checking your ego at the door. You don't always know everything. And if you assume you know everything, you're gonna pay for it later.
Yeah. Stand down for your ego is absolutely the new motto. Stand up for yourself, but stand down for your ego because that I don't know, that phenomenon, it's not even just a person, it's a whole other thing that puts you into this space where you can't even see sometimes if you're underwater. You
Yeah.
can't even tell how much of in need you are, how much of a mess you're making of things. And so definitely we want to, we're not canceling egos, but we're definitely putting them to bed.
Yeah, the ego definitely has a place, like it can support some of your best ideas when everyone tells you no. It can help that confidence. That's when the ego becomes like hurtful to other people or to yourself that it becomes dangerous. It's not doesn't supply you with what you're needing.
You
Or when the
mentioned,
ego, oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
Or when the ego becomes blinded, like you just want your vision to work rather than listening to anybody else to see if their thoughts can actually make a collective vision stronger. um yeah.
You mentioned the ego being hurtful to yourselves, and a theme that I've had across the people who participate in this series is uh, making sure that we can meet the challenges of work, which we know entertainment is a series of marathon days, marathon
Yeah.
weeks or months, maybe marathon years.
Years. Yeah. I mean, I'm big on self-care.
How are you managing it? Because you're in multiple productions, you're directing, you're writing, you're producing. After
Yeah.
you do the directing and writing and producing, you still have to look at the product for quality control. You also have to make sure that all the parties who are engaged are properly papered up. So you're making sure that legal is fine, that all the agreements still stand, that you're meeting all of the requirements that the prospective distributor could potentially want. And then you're meeting the requirements of the people in your personal life, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's easy to tell everybody at home no, because you can't just tell everybody at work no, not now, later, wait. So how do you manage that?
This has been a long journey of learning this one. There's like a couple year period where I put my entire self to the side and I only worked. And then when I came out of that, it was actually right at the beginning of the pandemic that forced me to reconsider my entire life and who I was. and I realized that I just poured myself so much into work that I gave no room for actual self growth, and I attributed myself to my work rather than myself and my work as separate entities. Um, and I think it's important for every person to find their outlets outside of work that can fulfill you.